Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about watercolor travel kits, just because I've been on a watercolor kick. As you know from my previous video, or maybe you've never seen my previous videos and you don't know, but I use the Midori Traveler's notebooks as daily journals and planners, and I kind of like to decorate them because I think it's kind of nice for them to be decorated. So I'll have like little sketches that I do of places that I've been. This is the bus. I kind of made the chair crooked because I just did it in pen really quickly on the bus. But I mean, for like a daily sketch, I don't think it really matters. You don't have to be perfect. But I tend to like to color things on my planner, and like paste things in, stuff like that. So I needed something to do that with, and at first I thought I was going to use watercolor pencils, but I realized that it takes me kind of too long to get the colors that I want with watercolor pencils, and there's like an extra step of having to wet it after, and I don't have as much control, I think, with watercolor pencils as I do with watercolors. And so I thought it would be fun to get a watercolor set, like a travel one, but I couldn't find any in the stores because I live in Hawaii and it's kind of not a great place to find like supplies of any kind because we're so small. We don't have like a Joann's or anything like that, or a Michael's. So I decided to order some stuff from Amazon, and I put it in this bag. It's a makeup bag, really, that I got from Sephora. Sorry, it's so gross. It has like cat hair all over it. I tried to roller it, but still looks pretty gross. But I mean, you really can't tell if you just pull it out on the bus. I think just the way the camera lighting is makes it kind of weird. Anyway, this is super lightweight. It fits in my purse with no problem. I can even just grab it like this in my hand, and like it doesn't take up that much space. So I really like it. I actually take it around with me around the house too, even if I'm not traveling. It basically holds all of my watercolor supplies except for maybe the actual non-waterbrush brushes and my Sakura Koi watercolor set, which fits in here but doesn't leave very much room for all the other stuff. So I usually just take it on the side if I really want to use it. And actually, that set is supposed to be kind of like a pocket sketch or a travel sketch set, but it's a little big for me. I mean, it takes up a lot of space. It would be okay if you just take that one without anything else, and you can if you have a water brush, but I tend to like to have more supplies, so I can get really creative if I want. Like if I have like an hour that I have to wait around for something, like the doctor's office or watching the guys playing basketball or something like that. So anyway, let's take a look inside. And you can use any makeup bag, I think. They usually have like nice compartments in makeup bags, which is pretty good. So that's why I would recommend getting that instead of getting something that's specifically for crafts, because those tend to be a lot more expensive, whereas a makeup kind of beauty bag you can get from like CVS or Long's or something like that for pretty cheap, or from Walmart, you know. So inside here I have these two cups. I got it as like a nesting cup set, so these are the smallest cups, but it comes with like a big cup and then a medium-sized cup and then the small cup that's all nested together, and then there's a cap to cover all of them. But I don't really like the other two cups because they're too big to put inside here. and they don't have caps for all three of them, so it's not really that useful to carry them around for traveling. But these cups basically are used when I have like a flat surface, like when I'm at a cafe and I can pour some water in. I usually take like a water bottle with me. I like these like Sunny D water bottles because they're pretty much like, they pretty much are spill proof, but you can like snap the lid off, or the cover, whatever you call it, and you can just squirt some in here, and it's not too messy. You don't have to really pour as much. I mean, you pour, but anyway, so I would just leave that like on the table. And I have two because I like to have one for just adding water to my paintings, and one for rinsing the brush so it doesn't get too muddy, because I tend to mix colors a lot since I have a travel palette. But that's the first item that I keep. I keep paper towels, of course, and I kind of reuse my paper towels until they're pretty much completely covered with color, because I don't like to waste. And they're pretty much reusable. I mean, I keep a bunch in here, more than I need, I guess, just because in case I'm on the bus and I want to get off, and I'm using like a water brush, like, let's see, do I have it in here? Like this one, which is a pocket-sized travel brush. If I'm using this one, it doesn't have like a cap here. It actually just twists and like sticks on top like this, and it's super small, and the nib is really fine, which I really like. If I'm using this one, I have to empty it out before I put it back in because there's no cap, and the water will leak out into my bag if I don't wipe it out, if I don't empty it out. So I can actually, if I'm painting and it's halfway full, or even like this way, like this much full, I can just empty it out onto this and have it all soak up and just stick it in, and it'll be a little damp, but it won't be that much of a big deal, I think. So yeah, I have water brushes. I use water brushes a lot. This one is the water brush that I got from my Sakura travel kit. I have a Pentel Aquash water brush coming from Amazon on the way, but I mean, these two water brushes I really like. I can't wait until I get the Pentel one so I can see how much better it is. But for now, I mean, these two are really great. This one has a cap, actually, like a little tiny cap, so that's in here somewhere, but I usually just keep it assembled like this. You can, however, unscrew it and put that cap on, and then it'll fit inside your Sakura water travel kit, or it'll fit in one of these like smaller pockets. So it depends on my mood and whether I feel like I'm gonna have to just pull something out really quickly. Otherwise, I have these, and they're actually bento making supplies, or bento supplies. I think you can get them from Amazon, but I got them from Japan while I was there, from Tokyo Hands. Excuse me. And they're for like ketchup and mayonnaise or salad dressing or something, but they're really great, and I think they're perfect with water brushes because they hold kind of like enough for like a few refills on this big brush. So I carry two just in case. They snap up, and it's like a really thin tip, so I can refill this really easily without dripping or spilling. And what's great about them is that if you hold them like this, they drip, but they don't like gush out. So basically, when you snap them up, and make sure you snap them very carefully, they're leak proof. So that's why I keep two in my bags. And they twist off, of course, so you can refill them at the faucet or something, or with your water bottle if you want. So they're really, really great. I mean, I think I should probably get two more just so I can pack salad dressing and ketchup and stuff for my husband when he has lunch, but for now, this is their purpose. They're really cute. I have a Cotman set of 12 half pan watercolors. This is really common. I think everyone has these. They're really great. I didn't think it would be that small when I looked at it. It's pretty small. I have pretty small hands, and it fits kind of like in my hands, and I can grip it really well. The cover, the hinge is kind of stiff, so it doesn't like flop back. So I can hold it like this. That's what I usually do. I hold it like this with one hand, and then I have like this one, or like the smaller one in my lap, open like that. And I just color. It's really great. The only thing I don't like about this palette is that there's no gray, which is not a big problem because eventually I can just buy like a Payne's gray or something to switch it out. And the reason grays are so great is because they darken things really well. You can also darken things with burnt sienna, I think, which is this one. I reordered the palette though, kind of in like color order, so it's not really the way it comes, but this palette I got for like $16 from Amazon. It was really cheap. I like that you can use like 3 kind of different mixing surfaces. On top of here, I don't know if you can see, maybe you can't. I don't know how the focus is on this. Not very great though. Let me see if I can change it to like, no I can't. Anyway, so alright, maybe I can zoom it in. Nope, doesn't work. Sorry about that. Anyway, like on top of here, what I have is like some M-gram paints. I like to squirt like little blobs of tube paint onto my watercolor palettes. I bought like a bunch of M-gram paints because those are just the artist quality paints that are available at my local craft store, and I like that they're soft and they don't dry up really hard, and I like the colors. So I squirted some on here just because the phthalo blue is really nice, and this one is quinacridone rose, I think, which I don't have in this palette. This is permanent alizarin crimson, and I don't even know if it's permanent. I think it might just be regular alizarin crimson, which is a fugitive watercolor. It means that when you use it, if you put it out into the sunlight, it'll kind of start to fade and disappear on you. So it's not really that suitable for things that are to be displayed. For I think like Moleskine or Midori notebooks or Hobonichis, it's fine. Like anything that you're gonna keep kind of hidden away in pages in a notebook, I don't think they're gonna fade very much just because they don't get direct sunlight or even indirect sunlight very often. Sorry, I'm a little sick. Excuse me. But yeah. So I have a quinacridone rose, which is a really lovely, like purplish, pinkish red color, and it mixed really well with the blues to create really beautiful purples, because this set doesn't have a purple either. And it also mixes really well with yellows to create really nice oranges, or kind of orangey red colors. So that's really great. But we have like a kind of orange red here. I think it's like pale cadmium red or something like that. Can't remember. But the great thing about these is a lot of them are hues. So I think they're not very toxic. They're student grade watercolors, which are pretty high quality anyway. And if you're just using it in a sketchbook or like a journal, honestly, you don't really need anything else because it's not watercolor paper, so it doesn't really react the same way watercolor paints do. I mean, you do want to use something that's better than like something you can get from the store, like say like, I don't know, like Crayola watercolors, because they tend to be really faint. These kind of brand name student grade watercolors have a lot more pigment in them. than the ones that you can get from like the grocery store or Walmart or something. And because of that, your watercolor washes come out really, really nice. So like if you draw something in your journal, and then you paint over it with watercolor, these will make it really vibrant and nice, whereas if you buy something from the store, it can turn out kind of faint and chalky and gross. So yeah, this is a really nice set. I think that this is probably my favorite watercolor set because it's so small, but it's big enough that I get a lot of colors, and it has like this big mixing surface, which is really great. So I think when I finish using up these paints, I'm gonna use this palette exclusively with my artist quality paints. So I would recommend you get this one. I think you can get it in artist quality too, but it's more expensive, but I don't really know. So that's in my bag. And then I also have a small Altoid. It's not really Altoid tin. I bought this on eBay for like I don't know, $9 or something. It's like a small tin. It's basically the size of an Altoid tin, like a little bit smaller even. And when you open it, it has like this plastic card, like a white plastic card that you can use as a palette. When you bought it, it was like stuck on, but I don't like having it stuck on because water can get underneath, and because this is metal, it can rust. So I just ripped off like the adhesive, or I scraped off the adhesive, not very well because there's still adhesive on here, but that way I can just like flip it off, and then I can clean it and wipe over here to make sure that nothing's going wrong. These are half pans. They were empty, but I filled them with travel watercolors, or I'm sorry, artist watercolors. These are M-gram paints. I have a few more colors coming on the way, which is why these are open, but they're going to be filled with color. This is Phthalo Blue, this is Gamboge, and Quinacridone Rose, and I'm going to have Burnt Sienna, Ultramarine Blue, and I think another yellow of some sort, like a cool yellow, which is a yellow that's more tinted towards green than towards red. Not an orangey yellow, which this one is. This one is pretty great for, it's a little bit more compact than the other one. You can see that like it's basically half the, I mean it's like a third of the size of the other one, and it opens up and it's really tiny. So like if I need something like a quick sketch, then I might use this. Or sometimes when I know that I'm going somewhere that I don't want to lug a lot of stuff around, I might just take like all of this stuff out, and just take like this and like a water brush and a pencil maybe, and one of these water things, and then that'll be my kit, which is super, super small. So it all depends, but I kind of like to have all of them just you know, just in case, like maybe someone might want to play with them, and then I'll have a set just for someone else. I also keep a ruler, which is really good if you're drawing anything with straight lines, which you tend to do. Sometimes I like to draw things on like straight lines by myself, so they're more not very straight and perfect. But sometimes you need a straight line for borders, or if you want to make boxes around things. So I have that. I have some washi tape that I use to paste things down onto the drawing surface, like paper, or sometimes I use it for masking because washi tape peels very easily from paper. So this is something I got from Japan, but you can get it from anywhere, I think, like Amazon or your local Japanese supply store if you have one. I like Micron pigment pens because they're waterproof when they dry. So I have a bunch of them here in different sizes, but you can go with just one of them. So like if I were traveling, I would pick just one pencil and one waterproof pen, and that could be it. This is an eraser, I think, for fine line eraser. I have like a knife, like an X-Acto knife. for shaping, for scraping paint onto things, and also for shaping the masking tape or the washi tape. Some lead, extra lead for my mechanical pencil. A mechanical pencil. I like this Sakura SumoGrip pen because the grip is really nice, and you have some eraser on here too in case you don't want to bring an eraser. This is a mini scissors, like a pocket scissor. It's super small. I have used it to cut watercolor paper before though, so I know it works. So if you need like strips of masking tape or washi tape and you don't want to use the knife, you can use this, or you can use it to shape your watercolor paper into smaller squares or whatever. Uniball Vision pen, which is also waterproof. Sometimes these make kind of like more thicker, like wetter lines, I think. So they just have like a different look, which is why I keep one in here in case I don't want to use the Micron. Microns are usually very, very crisp and clean lines. In here I have just like a piece of gum eraser. I think it's like the Prismacolor ones, and they come in like a little square, and you just use them as eraser. This is really great for when you're sketching something in pencil and you kind of want to lighten it so when you paint on it, it doesn't show, or when you trace it, it doesn't show. Instead of erasing the whole thing, you can like press it against the paper and kind of lift off graphite, which is really good. And you can also use it as a regular eraser. It's just kind of a good thing to have. I just plop it in here. You might not want to do it if your bag has a lot of dust. But mine is pretty much clean usually. The stray cat hair gets in there, but it doesn't really affect how it's used. It's still pretty good. I keep a little sponge in here too, just in case I need to apply color on the page with a sponge, or to mop up like something. Oh, this is the travel brush that comes with like this cotton set. It's really small, and it doesn't really work for me for everyday use, but it's because it's so small, I like to use it to like put in some details. So maybe like dotting eyes and like coloring really small areas, making fine lines like tree branches. So I keep it in there. It kind of folds up and it's really small. So there's that. And I think, oh, and I have another like a white polymer eraser. And so that's all of my stuff. It's really great. But like I said, you could probably make do with just like this, one of these, pencil, and water brush, and this tiny palette. And then like it's super light. It's really, really great. You can take it anywhere. You don't even have to use this big of a bag. You can put it in like a pencil case, I think, if it was that small. Like it's super, super small. And so you can do colorful effects in your journals anytime. And let me show you something I did yesterday. I've been using my bigger Midori a lot more for art journaling. And I discovered that I don't remember, this is language learning, but I'm using it for something different now. I found out that actually the Midori inserts that are the thin ones, like the super thin papers, and you get like 160 pages or something like that, they're really, really good for watercolor. Like the regular paper will kind of, I don't know if you can, oh, this is not Midori inserts, this is actually a Moleskine. The Moleskine carriers, or whatever the hell you call them, are actually not very good for watercolor washes. I don't know if you can see, you might not be able to tell, like this is kind of grainy, and you can kind of see a lot of texture where kind of seeps into the paper a little bit more, and it's not really that nice. I mean, it's kind of, it looks kind of junk. It's not very creamy, and yeah, it just doesn't look very good. I mean, you can do it, but it's not that great. So if you were using a Moleskine, I would, with watercolor, I would get the Watercolor Moleskine like pad or notebook. I think they have one especially for watercolor, and I've heard those are great, but I wouldn't use the regular paper for it. Whereas Midori paper is actually pretty good. This one is a regular Midori notebook, and this is like a river scene from Japan, and this is like the view from the window of our room in Hakone when we were staying there. And this is a bento box, which I haven't colored yet, but basically you can see there's hardly any show through. There's a little show through here because I accidentally used a watercolor pencil and pressed too hard, so you can kind of see while it was still wet. But I mean, you can see that there's something in the background on the other side, like this, but it doesn't really interfere with your drawings once you color it. And I kind of, oh, and this is a Gandalf. I tried to paint him because we were watching Lord of the Rings, Gandalf the White. But yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, you can see show through, but it doesn't bleed through. So you can use both sides of your paper, and I don't really mind that it shows through. But anyway, the Midori ones are super, super great. Like the thin paged ones, because they're super thin, and yet they seem to take watercolor paper. I think this paper is almost like Tomoe River paper from the Hobonichis, kind of. I've heard that they're comparable, like they're super thin, but they're actually better at taking watercolors than the Moleskine paper, and maybe even this paper. They just feel nicer to me. So this was a painting that I did, and I did it in lots of layers too, and I just painted it the way I would paint like a regular watercolor painting, except it doesn't spread and blend as well. When you put down a stroke, it'll just kind of stay there, and you can push it around a little bit, but you'll be able to see the stroke marks for the most part, and I don't really mind that, especially if you're just journaling and doing your days. And as you can see, this will, I don't know if you can see, it'll kind of wrinkle a little, and you can see like what's on the other side a little, but once you fill up this page, it'll look nice. It'll look fine. And yeah. So, oh, these are just practice drawings that I did. But yeah, it's super, super great, and I really recommend it. I think the Hobonichi journal has the same kind of paper that's really thin and really water resistant, so you can do a lot of effects with watercolor on it. So if you're looking for something that's not Midori, I would try those. They're also kind of expensive. I think they might be more expensive than just getting these refills. And I mean, if you don't have a Midori notebook and you still want to do like some watercolor or traveling kind of art journaling stuff, you can get these on their own. They're just kind of like thin like notebooks, and they're pretty good. I think you can get them online for anywhere from $5 to $8. At my local store they sell it for $6.80 or something like that, but you can get them a little cheaper online, maybe. Yeah. My Passport Midori also has like a thin paged insert. I think this is not as thin as that one, but it's kind of the same thing. I don't know what the insert is called, but it's this color insert. So that concludes my video, I guess. Hopefully it'll upload. It kind of turned out to be a little long. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.